How do you view just like what's still ahead of you, the 2 or the 3 seed, and how decisions that you'll make, like how do you weigh the importance of seeding in this game?
Yeah, we're playing to win this week.
I think anytime you lose, you want to get back on track. You want to get back on a winning streak and things like that. And it'd be great for us to, get that going.
All these games are must-win games, obviously.
We've been honing in towards this.
The goal was to be playing our best ball around this time.
The most important thing is winning ball games and heading into the playoffs with some momentum and some good energy.
November, December football, going into January, like that's when we need to be at our best, and I trust that our guys are going to be.
Hi, everyone. Welcome into a Friday night edition of Chicago Sports Tonight. I'm Luke Canellis. Cassie Carlson's alongside for our ChevyDriveChicago.com NFC North preview. All right, I want to go back to September 14th, Cassie. Bears just got their doors blown off by Detroit, by the Lions, 52-21 in that game. Frankly, they were embarrassed. This after they let J.J. McCarthy lead a comeback for the Vikings. Bears are 0-2 at that point. You go back 110 days. Are you thinking of 110 days later, the Bears will be getting ready for the playoffs as NFC North champs, and the Lions will be ready to go home?
No shot. And I think maybe the more surprising thing is the way the Lions season has gone, because we knew they were going to miss Ben Johnson. They were probably going to miss Aaron Glenn. But just to see the fall off and all the different changes they've had to make with different offensive play callers throughout the season, I thought was surprising, because you look at their roster and they still have a ton of weapons, arguably more weapons than the Bears in several different key positions. So that was surprising to me. And then I think back, I remember being in Detroit for that game. It was unbelievably loud. Ben Johnson got booed as he took the field, and they just had no answers. And so being back in that locker room where a year later, that was when Matt Eberflus had gotten fired, there were just so many bad memories associated with Detroit, and the fact they couldn't kind of rewrite the narrative in week 2 was a little bit surprising and a disappointing start to the season. I don't think I would have thought they would be here today. No, not at all.
Yeah, Lions still with a lot of playmakers. I mean, Goff has thrown for over 4,200 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, over 1,200 yards receiving. Do you remember Ben Johnson talking to the media after getting blown out by the Lions and thinking to yourself, I don't know him well. We haven't covered him all season long, but he seems like the determined type to make sure it doesn't happen again at the end of the season.
To his credit, he has been the same person every day, whether it's with what the players tell us or dealing with the media. I kind of feel like he is who he is, and I liked what he said today. He said, back then, we were talking to the players, and we basically told them after that game that we still believe in you. It's early on in the season. There's so much room to grow. There's so much time left in the season. And he said from what he had seen from the way they worked in the offseason training camp, and to that point, he felt like they still had all the playmakers they needed. And it went back to what he said in his introductory press conference, where he felt like this roster was a sleeping giant in Chicago, and he is the one that just needed to awaken it, and that's come to fruition.
Yeah, it sure has. Now, remember, Ben Johnson back in Detroit led a Lions offense that finished second, third, and fourth in total offense when Johnson was offensive coordinator. Bears are third in the NFL right now. How much of it is Ben? How much of it is the Bears' talent?
Well, I think it works hand in hand. One, I think we've seen across the entire NFL this season how important getting the coach right is. You can look at Mike Vrabel, you can look at Liam Cohen, all those 3 coaches along with Ben Johnson, and the way they have turned those teams around in just one season just goes to show that there is talent on every NFL roster. It's the coach, I think, that maximizes the talent from it. So I think the offensive line is the number one thing you can point to, because other than that, and some of the rookies coming in, the talent's mostly the same as it has been the last couple of years. So I credit Ben Johnson with getting the most out of them for, I think, being the offensive-minded guy that knows how to scheme to the skill sets of his players, which the Bears haven't had in the last 3 years.
Caleb Williams was around last year.
Yep.
He's a far different quarterback this year. Caleb Williams shooting for 4,000 passing yards on Sunday. There are the numbers. If he gets it, he'll be the first Bears quarterback in the history of the franchise. He only needs a $108, 108 yards to break Eric Kramer's record.
He'll get that.
He better get that, or else we're talking about a bad effort from the Bears on Sunday. Do you think Johnson will give him the chance to break the 4,000-yard mark?
I think he'll give him the chance. I don't think he'll leave him out there for good just to get it. You know, based off what we heard from Ben Johnson and the back and forth he had with the media earlier in the week saying, 4,000 yards is an arbitrary number.
Right.
There's teams that don't have a 5,000-yard passer. It was kind of just like, I mean, if he gets it, great. If he doesn't and we get the win, that's even better. But I think Caleb Williams is like deep down a little bit conflicted about it. He's like, obviously I want to get the win. That's the most important thing. But he even said it himself. The reason he felt like he was brought here as the #1 overall pick was to shatter records, and not just shatter Chicago records, but NFL records. And so I think the quarterback might push to get it.
Yeah, and he wants to win 8 Super Bowl titles with the Bears as well and break
He'll
Tom
get it
Brady's
eventually
record.
if they do that.
Let's go to the other side of the football. Are you worried that the Bears defense is so dependent on takeaways?
I think last week was a good example of it a little bit because they went up against an explosive offense, and after that TJ Edwards pick 6, they couldn't get the takeaways, and then you saw them going touchdown for touchdown with the team and not being able to get any stops. I think the more concerning thing right now with the defense too is their inability to get stops on 3rd down, and then the fact that the Niners were 5 for 5 in the red zone, and those critical downs you have to find ways to get stops. And I know Dennis Allen took accountability for it this week, saying he didn't coach them well enough, and TJ Edwards said more importantly is probably 1st and 2nd down defense, so they're not in short yardage situations on those critical downs. But I mean, last week was clear as day that there needs to be some shoring up on defense, and it all works together. You can't get pressure on the quarterback. It's not going to give the secondary a good chance, who's dealing still with some moving pieces. And so I think that's one area that you are concerned about going into the postseason.
They also went up against the hottest offense in football right now, led by Brock Purdy. All right, here's the NFC playoff picture going into Week 18. Seattle's the top seed, needs to beat San Francisco Saturday night. Bears need a victory to stay at 2. Eagles must be satisfied with the 3 seed because everything I read...
They're not playing them.
Yeah, has head coach Nick Sirianni resting his starters, including quarterback Jalen Hurts, for sure against the Commanders. All right, Panthers need to beat the Bucks. Packers 7th, win or lose. Rams are 6th. Niners can make a huge leap if they win the football game. Who do you think is the best team in the NFC?
Oh, in the NFC right now, I mean, based off what we saw from the 49ers last week, I'd be pretty scared to go up against them. And they were down George Kittle in that game, so that was a little bit terrifying.
And they lost Trent Williams at the beginning of the game after one play.
Literally no change in the way that their offense was playing. Christian McCaffrey is scary. I mean, I remember watching I think it was like a 41-yard breakoff, and he broke like 12 tackles, it seemed, on one carry. So just incredible, and they are going to have home field advantage if they get that all the way to the Super Bowl. It's interesting with the Eagles being okay with the 3 seed.
I'm very surprised.
Didn't the Rams almost beat them in was it the championship or divisional last year on the road, and the whole LA can't play in the snow, and they went in there, and I think they were 1 play away. That's surprising to me, but I feel like the Eagles are in such this weird territory right now where do they like Sirianni? Do they not? I think the players' reactions clearly indicate that they're not a fan of him. They just won the Super Bowl, and now they're kind of playing better but still have not really any offense. So it's interesting.
All right, Bears with plenty at stake against Detroit. If they win, they clinch the 2 seed. Doesn't matter what anyone else does. If the Eagles lose to the Commanders, the Bears clinch the 2 seed. As I said, it's important because the Bears would host a wild card and divisional playoff round at Soldier Field, meaning if they got by the Packers in round 1, the Rams, who play indoors, the 49ers, who play in California, or the Eagles, as you just mentioned, would all have to come to Soldier Field for that divisional round. But as you mentioned, Rams played well in Philadelphia last year. If the Bears lose to the Lions and the Eagles win, oh, wow, there is a number of different scenarios, but I'm not getting into them right now because I refuse to believe that the Bears are going to lose. Here's Ben Johnson from earlier today. He had an idea of how good this Bears team was at the beginning of the season, and the Bears, well, they validated his perceptions.
From a roster standpoint, I felt strongly about a number of the guys here on both sides of the ball. You know, I think defensively we had some guys that, you know, I had called offenses against in the past that I had a lot of respect for, and same thing, just from afar, watching some of these receivers, the linemen, you know, Darnell, a lot of the guys from the previous years, you know, thought it could be a special group. And that's without knowing necessarily the makeup or the wiring behind all these guys. And the more I've been with them, the more impressed I've been. I think it's a very close-knit group. And I felt that, you know, it's one of those things, you break meetings the night before the game, and guys don't just grab their snack and go straight up to their rooms. They they sit down there in the meal room and they enjoy spending time together. And I think that's really the cool thing about this particular team that I didn't know when I took the job, but to see that come to light, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Ben Johnson earlier today reflecting on what he has seen from his roster. You've been there all year long. Have they exceeded your expectations?
Oh, I think they should have exceeded everyone's expectations. I remember we were sitting on the desk doing our schedule show, and we were going through how many wins we thought the Bears were going to get, and I was like, if you look at the schedule, I feel like 10 would be a good number, but given the history of this team and how they had finished games, I was going to go with 8 because that's just the way that things have fallen
you
over the last.
You were a scarred Bears fan.
Yeah, I'm happy to admit it. And so Ben Johnson's ability to get the best out of them, all the comeback wins. I talked to Cole Kmet this week one-on-one, which you can watch on Bears Game Day Live Sunday morning, and I asked him what he will remember about the year 2025, and he said the locker room. He's like, I've never been a part of a locker room where everyone is genuinely so close and we have these personal relationships. And so he feels like it is special in that sense. And similar to what Ben Johnson has said before, they will never all be together. Again, that's just the way the NFL works. And so they need to capitalize on the good thing they have going this year, and the team knows it.
And no one has been on this Bears team longer than number 85, Cole Kmet. Don't miss a moment of Chicago sports. Hit subscribe and stay in the game. Highlights, analysis, and all the action from Fox 32 Sports.